Tasmania is known for its cool climate wines, and today I'm at Mewstone Wines just south of Hobart with the beautiful Bruny Island across the channel behind me. I'm going to try some of their Pinot Noir, and later in the show I'm having a private Japanese cooking session with Chef Sophie. I'm Aleisha and this is the Cellar Door. I'm 40 minutes south of Hobart on Tasmania's beautiful southeastern coast, overlooking Don Tricasto Channel at Mewstone Wines. The focus here is premium Pinot Noir, Chardonnay and Riesling. To kick off my visit, I thought I'd have a chat to Cellar Door manager Margie. A little conversation, epic view and a glass of wine. Great start. Margie, it's lovely to meet you. I've heard all about you from the family.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I hope it was good.
I was all positive.
Okay, no.
For our viewers, tell me who you are and how you're connected to this beautiful property.
Well, I am totally blessed to be here and involved. My husband Johnny's the winemaker.
It's a pretty great place to come and work each day. I get the impression you all are quite stoked to be here.
It's certainly not hard, especially to put up with that kind of
I know.
view.
Let's just take it in. Oh my gosh.
It's amazing. It is gorgeous. It is really beautiful. Premises is lovely. And the people you meet down here is just wonderful, you know. It's a beautiful job and it doesn't feel like work. It feels, for me, like coming home.
Mm-hmm.
And because, you know, there's part of my history of my family here as well. And yeah, my husband's work here and it's just perfect. I love it.
You mentioned to me about the design of this beautiful space in the Cellar Door.
Yes.
And how it's connected to your family as well. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Preston Lane Architects designed this amazing building. And 2H Builders also were building this building, and we've popped some of my family's amazing timber from my farm that I had inherited. So I'm the youngest of 4 children, and my parents gave all of us a pile of timber each to do as we please, whether you sell it to earn some money or build a house out of it or furniture. And once I knew I was going to marry Johnny, I decided, well, I better bring everything down, and I was unsure what to do with the timber. And so I made a lovely dining table out of it, and we've popped the rest in the cellar door, and it's just stunning. So now, you know, I get to share it effectively with the world when they walk in, instead of hiding it in a home that is, you know, you don't get to talk about it.
Yeah.
But it was all harvested from my family farm in Queensland. It's gorgeous. So I know exactly where the trees were and the cows that stood under it. So it's very precious.
That's really nice. It's a really nice way for you to connect your side of the family to this
very much.
big new family venture.
Absolutely.
Mewstone Wines is located in the adorably named town of Flowerpot. Established in 2011, it has quickly become one of the loveliest wineries to visit in South Tassie.
Now we're here with, I think, your favourite wine.
Yes. Yes, we are.
Now I'm having a tasting with Johnny later, but can you just tell me why you like this wine and what it is?
This wine, to me, visually, it reminds me of a love letter in a glass. So this is our Mewstone Pinot Noir. It is very, very sophisticated, and to me it's like my nighttime go-to. It's got a lot more depth and complexity to it. It's got the tannins that are just so beautiful to cut through anything that's of gamey flavour, like duck or venison and wallaby. And if people don't eat meat, anything that's like char grilled, like eggplant or Brussels sprouts, anything like that, it just cuts through and it just pairs beautifully. It's just marriage made in heaven. It's just delightful. I love it.
If I have a little taste now, I can
pretend to Johnny I haven't tasted it later.
Pretend that, okay? Okay.
I get double dip.
Perfect.
Oh. I'm in love.
I love it.
You're lucky you get to taste this every day.
I know, I'm blessed out of my socks. Doesn't feel like work.
No! Well, it's been an absolute delight chatting with
Thank
you.
you, likewise.
You're such a sassy broad. I like you a lot.
Oh, and I'm loving your lipstick. I'm loving your lipstick.
We like a bold lip.
Oh yeah.
And it stays on while you're tasting.
Absolutely, that's the key.
Yes, exactly. I'm going to have another little taste because it's too good to
It is.
waste.
It's so good.
Hey, cheers to you.
Cheers, and thanks so much for coming down. It means a lot.
Oh, we love being here. Who would deny this?
I know.
Time to pop into the Cellar Door for a chat with head winemaker Johnny. His history in winemaking has taken him all over the world, and I'm keen to find out more and maybe sample another glass.
We might start you with some Dunkelspritz, which is one of our little pet nats. So this comes from our Hughes & Hughes range, which is fruit from other people's vineyards that we source. And this is one of the sort of the more eclectic little wines that we make. It's a really lovely way to start a tasting.
Great. Can you say the wine name again? It sounds fun.
Dunkelspritz.
Dunkelspritz.
So we came up with that. That's dark sparkling, if you like, in very crude German. So this is made from a grape variety called Dornfelder, which is a really rare grape variety grown in Australia. Phil Dolan up in the northwest is the first grower in Australia to produce Dornfelder. So we buy all these Dornfelder now, and one of the things we do with it is make Dunkelspritz. See
Right.
what you think.
Thank you. What should I be when I'm tasting? Oh, it smells delicious. By the way, it smells delicious. What should I be looking for when I'm tasting?
I think with all pet nats, the essence is really about fun. So I think fruit driven, in this case, lots of berry fruits, which the Dornfelder has lots of, blackberries and the like, and little raspberry sort of notes. But I think the most important thing for pet nats is that people just can really enjoy them. They're a great way to start a tasting, start an evening. So yeah, that's what it's really
sounds
about.
like my jam. Something fun.
Everyone's
Here we go.
jam.
Yeah, of course. Here we go. Oh, that is fun.
Yeah, really vibrant.
It's a mouth party.
Yeah, we sort of think of this as the one that is a bit more generous, and we make two pet nats, and this is the one that's a bit more generous and a bit more of an evening drinker. So
When you say generous, give me more information about that. I like to sound informed when I go to people's houses and go, here's all my wine information. Generous sounds good.
generous for me, in this case, is a little bit less acid, so a little bit more sort of weighty fruit, so darker flavours, softer sort of feel.
Right.
Whereas the other pet nat we use Riesling, and so it's a bit more acid, a bit more bright, a bit closer to a traditional sparkling sort of feel to it.
Yeah, because this is still quite dry. It's not super sweet.
There's no sugar.
Yeah, you can taste that, but it's also not. You're not getting what am I trying to say here?
Less acid, so you get that. You don't get the puckering at the side.
Where you're like, ooh.
Yeah, and
that first sip.
That's just Dornfelder being a red variety, has a little bit less acid than a lot of white varieties. So yeah, hence the term generous, because it's sort of a juicy sort of sparkling. But all pet nats are bone dry, so there's no sugar because their ferment finishes in bottle. Hence they're cloudy.
Yep.
The ferment finishes in bottle, and so all the sugars are used up. And so we trap all the last bits of gas in the bottle, but we use all our sugars, so they're always dry. And so that's why we can get a little bit of extra fruit flavour, because we can pick the fruit a little bit later to make a pet nat compared to a normal sparkling. So yeah, fun.
Very fun, very tasty.
Yeah.
Thank you.
More Cellar Door Australia after the break. I've made my way to Tasmania's stunning southeast coast, and I'm spending the day with my new friends at Mewstone Wines. Co-owner Matthew has offered to take me for a stroll through the vines, and I love a stroll. And I don't think there's a better place for one than here.
Matt, this is one of the world's best offices. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Aleisha. Thanks for coming. It's a beautiful part of the world. We've got Bruny Island in the background and the Don Tricasто Channel right behind us. And yeah, it's a terrible part of the world to come to work every day.
Yeah, I know. It must be awful. The commute must be terrible.
Yes, yes.
How long have you been here?
We bought the property in 2010 and planted it straight away in late 2010, early 2011. So the first 5 acres went in just below us here. And then we waited 5 years to see what these guys would do. And then behind us, we put another 5 acres in sort of in 2017 after that. So, and it's just been slowly evolving ever since then. The winery and whatnot have all happened a little bit more recently.
Yeah. It's such a stunning spot, but also you've really developed a great sort of brand now. Tell me a little bit about how that came to be, and especially all the family involvement, because that fascinates me.
It's quite the family affair, yeah. Jonathan's the winemaker, younger brother. He'd been in the wine game for a long time, and he was really not confident though in his own winemaking ability. So he'd been assisting, working in vineyards, working in other wineries for a long time. And I said to him, I was probably sort of late into the late sort of 28, 29. You ever think you want to make your own wine? Yeah. And he eventually said, maybe. So that's when we thought, we'll put this in and we'll see what he comes up with for the first attempt. So
you're working closely together. He's obviously got the experience. Now, how did he learn to make the wine? Because you said, he didn't know if he could do it. Now, I feel like he had a little bit of experience.
Yeah, he started, he followed me through university and hated what he did. He was an economist who then immediately went to Nelson in New Zealand and did postgrad viticulture over there. But just a 1-year course. So then he floated around the world doing vintages, probably 6 or 7 different countries over the years. And he just slowly accumulated vineyard work, winery work. He did a bit of wholesaling. And then he ended up, his really first proper job was the assistant out at Marilla for about 7 years. So he slowly, it was very much this 20-year apprenticeship, but hands-on. But he certainly learned his craft through lots and lots of just trial and error, meeting lots of other interesting people.
Yeah.
And the fun stuff about that industry is they're all happy to share information. And I think he just had a lot of really good friends and good associates that sort of got him where he needed to be eventually. And then finally, us being able to do it here was fun. So he got to practice on his own fruit, if you like.
That's pretty handy.
Yeah.
Should we have a little walk?
Yeah, let's go for a wander.
Yeah, let's do it. So tell me a little bit about the sort of wine that you make here.
Predominantly, we've got Pinot planted right below us here.
Yep.
A reasonable amount of Chardonnay. And we started with small amounts of Riesling, not knowing how it would go, but that's actually been really successful on the block here. So in the new plantings over here, we've put more Riesling in, a lot more Pinot, lots of clones. We've got 10 clones of Pinot. So we're still, it's like a moving science experiment down here. So because there wasn't a lot of other big plantings in this area, they're all very small, it was hard to know exactly what clones would work in this area.
Yes.
So we're still sort of constantly evaluating like what's working, what's not. And so I think we're probably 5 years away from finally deciding on absolutely how it all works perfectly down here. We've just planted 5 more acres of Chardonnay in the distance, which will be, we're still 5 years away from seeing how that goes. They're all new Chardy clones too that we haven't used before. So it is very much trial and error still down here.
So Matt, what makes this specific area in Tassie work for your wine?
Well, it's got its strengths and its weaknesses. So we have super low yields down here and a really long, slow growing season. So we're traditionally a couple of weeks behind the rest of the south even of Tassie. So we're picking Easter onwards, sometimes into early May, believe it or not, which is crazy.
Yeah, late.
So little yields, intense flavours. So that's what's quite unique to this site. It's also its downside because we don't get a huge amount of fruit from this part of the world. But that's the risk reward that we play, like being down so far south, really.
Well, I think it's been lovely walking through the vines with you, but I would really like to try some wine.
Let's do it, Aleisha.
Yeah, I think we should.
Cheers.
After the stroll through the vines, I'm back with Johnny in the Cellar Door, where it's time to talk about my favourite topic, Pinot Noir. Tell me about your Pinot. How does it stand out?
So this is one of our single site wines. So within our little eclectic range, every year we pick our favourite couple of Pinots and we bottle them separately. So if you like, in the old language, this might have been called a reserve.
Right.
Now, wine in Tassie, Pinot is really well known, and it's one of those things that I suppose we grow really well. Why do we grow it well in Tasmania?
I think it again comes back to that cool climate we were talking about with the Chardonnay.
Yeah.
Pinot needs a nice, long, slow growing season, time to develop lots of flavour and retain that sort of the structure of the acid. And in warmer climates, that just falls apart too early. So you really need that cooler climate to grow high quality Pinot, and Tasmania has a lot of vineyard space that is genuinely cool climate.
Yeah.
And so we get a really eclectic range around the state though. So depending where you're growing it, what site you're growing it, Pinot responds very differently. And so we do get to work with lots of different little parcels that give us the scope to do quite different styles around the island. And this is one of those styles. So this comes from a little vineyard where the Dunkelspritz came from. So this comes from the northwest of Tasmania.
Right.
From White Rock Vineyard, and he just has this amazing purity in his fruit, which is what we're going to see. It's always really crunchy and really pure, and I think that's just something that stands out amongst all the Pinots each year. This often stands out.
What should I be looking out for here? Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so I guess that purity of fruit, that real pop, and really bright palate. So there's lots of structure and there's lots of complexity, but it's hidden beneath what seems quite a simple wine at first, and then you dig in and you go, oh, actually, that's going to last for a while.
Yeah.
That's a good wine.
Oh, I feel good as a Pinot appreciator. This is talking the talk for me. Oh, another Pinot Noir.
Another Pinot,
Thank you.
a special Pinot.
Oh, good.
So this is the Pinot from this vineyard. So we bottle this one under Mewstone. So this wine comes from the original planting just in front of the Cellar Door. And yeah, so this is our little flagship Pinot each year, the fruit from the vineyard that we planted. So
this is the OG. This is where it all started.
this is where it all started.
That's nice.
This was the concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you went for that nervous family dinner, which I don't think you should have been nervous about, by the way. You
I
knew
wasn't that
stuff. I know. Matt's all like, he was nervous. And I'm like, I think he had the experience. You knew what you were doing.
We were pretty happy with our first little drop. So
I heard earlier your wife, Margie, referred to this as a bit of a love letter, which just melted my heart.
Margs does that.
Does she? Oh, she's beautiful. And I can see. I mean, do you send her little love letters through your winemaking?
I'd like to think so. She, until I name a wine after her, I don't think she'll accept that that's what's going on. But
Well, that should be coming. I noticed the colour much deeper than what we tried just previously.
yeah, we get really small bunches of fruit here, like incredibly small. Not great from a commercial sense, but what they do have is amazing sort of skins and thick skins and a really high sort of skin to juice ratio that we talk about, and that's where a lot of that extra tannin comes from too. So this wine has sort of compared to the last one has even more tannin, and we really do expect these wines to live for a very long time in bottle. Yeah.
So I probably shouldn't be as impatient to drink this.
No, this one's one that we sort of hope people are very patient with. With all the Mewstones, we probably start to think a much longer time frame to drink, and they will genuinely get better. When we look back at the first few wines that we did, we can already just after 5 or so years see that development is happening quite slowly.
Yeah.
And so the wines are just ticking along. So they will take a little while to see their absolute best.
Well, I'm excited to try it. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Love letter. Johnny, thank you for having us.
Pleasure.
It's been a delight, and next time I visit, I reckon there'll be a Margie wine on the shelves.
You never know.
I've been in southern Tasmania sampling some incredible wines. I'm now back in Hobart getting a behind-the-scenes masterclass at one of the city's boutique Japanese restaurants.
So, thank you for having me in your kitchen, allowing me behind the bench.
Well, my pleasure, Aleisha. Welcome to Omotenashi, which is in the Rocks building.
It's very intimate, and it feels pretty special to be here. Learning a little bit about what you're actually doing, the local produce, but also the diversity of your menu. I'm fascinated as to how you come up with what you do every week.
So
Our menu is really dictated by what we get in Tasmania. So everything's different every week. Some weeks we'll have certain seafoods and then there'll be a storm and you just can't get that the next week.
What's the key to great Japanese food?
I think a lot of Japanese food is very simple but just executed in a really refined manner. So just trying to take that philosophy into our cooking is really what we achieve or strive for.
What are all these little items?
So what we've got here is a selection of ferments. So for about 3 months before we opened, Lachlan and I were doing lots of ferments. So these all come from local suppliers. So we've got asparagus coming from Little Red Hen, which are based in New Norfolk. They actually had their last market. Carrots, daikon, leeks coming from Feld's Farm, which they're based up in Launceston. So it's really showcasing a lot of beautiful Tasmanian produce, just fermented. We use salt and maybe some other little ingredients just to flavour them, but it's just simple and showcasing what we think is some of the best things we can get in Tassie. So we started with a lovely plate of ferments like this, and then we move on to a lot of sashimi after that. So we usually get about 3 different fish and serve it with Tasmanian wasabi or things like shiso. Then we'll move on to some more veggie-based snacks.
So do you mind if I have a little taste?
Oh no, I'd love you to. Go for
I'm
it.
going to try the celery because we've spoken about it. Oh, that's lovely.
I'm so happy you like it.
It's, the salt is not overpowering. When you were talking about the salt, I was like, this is going to be a lot.
Yeah, so the salt really is just to help it age and help break it down in a way and let the natural flavour and natural bacteria on the veggies do their thing.
Now, you are a specialist in desserts, I've heard.
Yes,
And I'm a specialist in eating desserts
I love it.
and also helping people make desserts. Can we make a little Japanese dessert?
Oh, that seems pretty awesome.
Great.
I get you a little bowl so you can start picking down some flowers.
Yes, please. Thank you.
So I'll get you to start picking down the little thyme flowers.
Okay.
So you can go for that. And
When you say picking down, chef, what do I need to do?
so I'd recommend just like trying to pinch off the little bits and just pick down the tiny little babies.
Yeah, okay.
And then after that, we've got some purple sour sobs, which you can just pick the stem off and put there.
Great. Let's do it.
So the start of this dessert is some mascarpone that I've made using alga cream. They're a local dairy producer. They, by far, I think, have the best dairy in all Tasmania. It is just on another level. And then with that, we have some SCOBY candy, which is made from the kombucha mother, which looks a bit interesting there. But if you put sugar all around it and just leave it for a couple months, it ends up turning into a jube-like consistency, perfectly sweet and sour. It is pretty unreal that you can make that just by adding sugar to it.
Yeah, that's wild. And it really does. It looks like jelly. You said a jus.
Yeah, it looks like jelly and it's nice and chewy. And then with that, the kombucha that's made with it is a chocolate mint kombucha. We turn it into a granita and then that's just how we finish it, and then put some flowers on just at the end.
Great, that I can do.
Yeah. And don't be shy with the flowers, feel free to
Oh gosh,
put them all on.
just really go nuts with the flowers. Here we go.
Yeah. You can sprinkle those over and I'll put the other ones on.
This is my dream, to be on a cooking show like this and just go, oh, here's some I prepared earlier.
Yeah, so that's just some flowering thyme that grows in the community garden near here, which just adds a lovely herbal flavour to it. Then some purple sour sobs, which are just nice and sour, which just keep it really fresh.
Can we try a little bit?
It'd be a pleasure. I'll give you a spoon.
Now tell me,
Here you go.
if people want to come and see you, I'm guessing because there's only 12 seats here, you would probably have to book quite far in advance to be a part of this amazing experience.
It's the best way to not be disappointed and miss
Avoid the
out.
disappointment.
So I'd recommend booking a month in advance, but we always have cancellations. It's the era of COVID, so
Wow, this is complex. I need to have more to talk about it.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in a great way.
It's so simple, but
Oh,
it's so
man.
interesting. I love it. It's so
You're blowing
refreshing.
my mind. But what is it? What makes it that flavour? How do they make mascarpone?
So mascarpone is an acid set cheese. So basically you heat the cream up, then cool it down, then heat it up, and then I add my lemon juice to it, let it cool down, put it in the fridge, and then the next day you have mascarpone.
It's my favourite of all the creamy things.
It's a good creamy thing, it's not too creamy.
But it's also something I equate to Italian cooking, and now we're eating it in Japanese, and it just fits perfectly with this. Thank you for sharing this with me. I really feel inspired to learn more about what's in my garden and also maybe grow some of this stuff myself. Thank you.
Yeah, and I really hope you do.
I will, no, genuinely. And also, as I said, this is in my garden and I didn't even know what it was.
Go for it. The flowers make such a lovely peppery syrup that it would be great with gin, so.
I don't need any more encouragement.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you so much for coming. It was lovely to meet you.
It was lovely to meet you. That caps off our trip to Tasmania, and I had a fantastic time visiting Mewstone Wines and my private cooking session with Sophie. Until next time, cheers!